Welcome to Coleman Report Live. I'm Bob Coleman, and we're talking Main Street and the small business lenders who help it grow. Katie Watucky, welcome. Lance Sexton, welcome.
Hey,
hope
Bob.
everyone had a nice weekend.
Yeah, I found all the furniture for my apartment, so we're up and moving.
The IKEA special, I assume, Katie?
Oh yeah, but we really lucked out because a lot of the stuff we went back the next day and it was sold out. So we got the last of what they had.
Katie, for those of you who don't know what we're talking about, why don't you tell them why you're shopping for furniture?
Well, I'm getting married on the 1st, and then I'm moving to the Seattle area a week later.
Congratulations.
So guys, I tried to encourage her to get her furniture at Sexton Furniture and Appliance in beautiful Arkansas, but it's a long delivery.
Hey, there are our certificates. Thank you all for joining us. I appreciate it. Let's get into the content. Has your supply chain shortage, or has a supply chain shortage affected your borrowers? Critical, serious, manageable, they're doing okay.
I have.
Why are we asking? Go ahead, Lance.
Since we're talking about supply chain shortages, I'll share the story. We were talking about furniture. My brother and dad have been in the furniture business for 40 plus years. Sales have been very robust during the pandemic, and the biggest problem that they're facing is not enough inventory because the manufacturers had to shut down for a period of time. So, in a showroom, in a 12,000 square foot showroom that's normally overflowing with home furnishings, they're empty spots because he can't get inventory.
Yeah, good. I'm glad only 13% say it's serious. I'm glad to see that. I'm glad people are managing to that. What industry has performed the best to retain jobs using PPP loans? I don't know if I know the answer to this one. I do. Well, maybe not. Lance, what's your guess?
Bob, I'm going to go with healthcare.
Yeah, I was going to say healthcare, but I do know that hospitals have laid some people off as well. But I would go, there you go. Very good.
Well, I think hotel and food services probably have retained a significant number of jobs, but one of the challenges is I'm hearing stories of food service businesses that have used their PPP funds and are in trouble now.
Yeah, it's terrible.
So they need P4.
Unfortunately, Hollywood is still shut down. They're not producing movies. The movie theaters are not doing well. And we're going to start a new segment. I believe we're going to start tomorrow. We're just going to start listing all the bankruptcies and the retails by different industry segments. So, Katie, we may want to start with entertainment, see what's going on with that. Yeah, go ahead, Lance.
One bright spot and I don't want Hollywood to be shut down, but the local movie theater is featuring Ghostbusters on the big screen.
Which one?
The original Ghostbusters spot.
Well, I know the Rose. Go ahead.
Some people on the call, Bob, may not have been alive when Ghostbusters first came out.
Katie.
Katie's like, not me.
The Rose Bowl is doing is turning into a drive-in theater, and I don't know how much it costs. You throw $5 or $10 at them, you get in. So people are that.
The other thing that's interesting, Bob, I'm here in the home of Walmart. Apparently, there are 150 Walmarts across America that some movie companies working with Walmart, and they're going to turn Walmart parking lots into drive-in theaters.
I love that idea. I know Walmart's always been a leader in allowing you to park your RV and camp in the parking lots. So good for Walmart. Hey, I'm going to rephrase this a little bit. We asked, does Citrus Heights calculate PPP? And I'm going to expand that. Does your institution, are your underwriters requiring a PPP debt ratio calculation as well? So let's expand that from Citrus Heights to also the lender.
Well, and I think this is a new thing for us as underwriters for SBA loans, and I'm not surprised that there's kind of a split response, Bob, because, you know, the PPP funds, if they give forgiven, they're not going to be around very long, but right now there's an obligation for a payment until it's forgiven, and that would have to be considered in calculating debt service coverage.
See what we have for an answer. All right. Do you have any issue with 28% doing it, Lance?
Not really, Bob. It's not clear, and I would be curious what the SBA Center in Citrus Heights is doing in regard to that, whether they're just assuming that it's going to be forgiven or whether they're adding that proposed PPP loan payment without forgiveness into debt coverage.
Lance, you're the chief credit officer for an institution. What are you going to mandate for your loan portfolio? I am
going to want to add it in. You know, if a deal debt covers with the PPP payment added in, it's going to be a strong deal, whether forgiveness has been given or not. Now, the other option is the borrower can wait a few weeks, get forgiveness, and then it won't be an issue. But here's the catch-22, Bob. You got the September 27th deadline to get the CARES Act payments. So the borrowers are going to want to close their deal before September the 27th. And that's a great selling tool right now for a standard SBA 7A or a 504 or an express loan. If you get it closed before the 27th and dispersed, it will get those CARES Act payments. So, I mean, it's kind of an interesting question because, you know, let's say you have a borrower, you do debt coverage calculations, you add the PPP, and they come in at 0.9. But if you pull the PPP payment out, they're 1.5. You know, how do you address that? Do you make them wait and miss the CARES Act payment? It's a difficult question, Bob. It really is.
Very good. And obviously, based on the responses, the industry is struggling with the best practice. Hey, what do you think let's go industry. We don't have to go particular institution. What do you think the SBA 7A default rate will be for 2020?
Bob, I really think it's going to edge up toward 5%. That's my personal opinion, but everybody else may have a different opinion.
There we go, over 20. What's your personal opinion, Lance?
I honestly think, Bob, that it'll probably, you know, last year it was like 1.8% or somewhere in that vicinity. So if we get up to 5, it's going to be almost not quite 3, but almost a 300% increase. I am hopeful those people, the 23 or 25% over 10%, I am hopeful we do not get to that point.
Yeah, I agree.
But I'm pegging.
Go ahead,
Bob,
Lance.
I'm pegging on 3 to 5%.
Yeah. Also 2020, the default rate is going to be low because of the payments by SBA on the 7A loans. So
actually, Bob, 2021 is when we will likely see an increase.
Hey, we got some comments. 2 people said Citrus Heights isn't asking for PPP calculations added to the debt ratio. So
Nice.
Thank you, Suzanne and Corey. So hopefully we did not stir up a hornet's nest and have someone from Citrus Heights go, hey, that's a great idea. That's not our intent.
Hey. Also, Bob, a question asked the other day, is PPP forgiveness taxable? And I went back and looked because I told you I thought it's not for the small business.
Good. And someone, I don't have a name, says, from an industry perspective, loans to hotel food service companies were the highest performers, retaining 121 jobs per $1 million of loans and requiring just $8,200 to retain one job. So thank you very much for that. And obviously, hotel and food services are the highest recipient of PPP loans. So I think that's positive. Katie, what do you think?
Right. I kind of suspected that answer. I didn't want to say for sure because I didn't know the statistics. So thank you for whoever sent that to you. But yeah, I think especially restaurants and things, I'm definitely seeing that it's helped a lot, at least in my community. So I'm sure it's helping across the country.
Very good. Let's see. It's sort of a slow news day, but we do have this news. Talk about it, Katie. What's going on with economic injury disaster loan advances?
So the economic injury disaster loan advance program ended. It's now over. And the administrator has this great little comment. It provided $20 billion, which is unprecedented for the EIDL program. Of course, this one's tweaked for specifically this type of disaster loan. But it was built from the ground up in less than 2 weeks and assisted millions of small businesses, including nonprofits, which is really the significant aspect of this program. And so I'm glad it's helped a lot. Unfortunately, we don't know a lot more about it aside from what the administrator just said, but it did help a lot of businesses.
Well, I mean, 6 million small Main Street businesses employing 30 million people, that's significant, Lance.
Absolutely. And, many PPP recipients also got idle loans, and the influx of capital into small businesses, we'd be looking at a much worse economic situation if it were not for SBA's ability to get capital out the way they did.
Yeah, and we've talked about that on numerous occasions. We sacrificed perfection for speed to market, and it's nice to see SBA acting like a tech company on speed to market. So I know there's going to be issues, but I think we can live with that. Hey, tell us about your. This is a follow-up on the question, what's going on with supply chains? And the better question, Katie, is that a problem?
Right. So I kind of looked into this kind of collecting data from several different sources, and it seems like most organizations have had some kind of problem, sometimes kind of small problems, but most of them have experienced it. 31% of small business owners say the pandemic has decreased demand for products and services. Another
Wow.
26.
Yeah, I would have lost that bet. I would have said that would have been higher. Go ahead, Katie.
Right, but I mean the next statistic right here is 26% say they do not have supply due to production downtime and shutdowns. So that's on top of the 31% who are already having some problems, and then 21% say they're experiencing logistics and transportation delays. So in total, I'm not real fast at my math here, but that's a significant number of businesses that have had some kind of problem due to supply chains. A lot of them are kind of tweaking their plan, and they're going to start trying to get more local supply and things like that to try to ensure that this doesn't happen again.
Bob, and a perfect example of the supply issue, I bought a living room suite for my brother in April. He did not, I got the sofa and love seat, but he did not have the footstool or ottoman or whatever you want to call it. He immediately ordered it for me in April. It has not arrived yet because the plant that it came from was completely shut down in April, and they've just started getting back into the production process. Now, he tells me by the end of the month I should have it.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I ordered a new Jeep, and before all this happened, and I was supposed to, anyway, I still don't have it. It's somewhere on a train, I hope. Very good. Let's see. Brookshire asked the question, what will SBA's view on forgiving a portion of the principal or deferring longer than 3 months for a company to avoid bankruptcy, Lance?
So, Chris, that registered TV is excluded
Down the
from the
road,
business.
I'm sorry, I cut you off. Go ahead.
Say that question again, Bob. I'm looking at the slide that's talking about taxation. I apologize.
For Brookshire. What will the SBA's view on forgiving a portion of principal, deferring longer than 3 months for a company to avoid bankruptcy? I mean, that's a classic servicing 101. At what point in time, do we offer help? At what point in time do we?
No, we're talking about a regular 7A loan that's on the books. The deferment is a normal servicing action. If it's going to keep the business in operation, you can do a 90-day deferral unilaterally. Does not require SBA's approval. Whether the loan is sold in the secondary market or not sold in the secondary market, you can do 90 days unilaterally. You can go up to 6 months unilateral on a loan that you have in your portfolio. On a loan that's sold in the secondary market, if you want to go beyond 90 days, you're going to have to ask for investor approval through Coleman. Now, my understanding is that the investors are approving these with a lot more than they were prior to the pandemic.
Lance, what do we do if we have a customer, they're a restaurant, and they're closed? So, or a hotel that's closed, any type of business that's closed. What is your strategy for that?
Well, I think you want to evaluate. First of all, you want to do a site inspection. Just go out, take pictures, spend some time talking to the owners. Of course, make sure and mask up and bring your sanitizer with you. But do a site inspection. In addition to that, look at, very nice, Bob. In addition to that, look at servicing actions that you might consider taking. Now, if it's an existing SBA loan on the books, fully dispersed, that's less than 60 days past due, it should be getting the CARES Act payment, which should carry it. That's going to carry most businesses through October. But again, if they're closed, you want to do a site inspection. You want to consider potential servicing actions to help them get back to being able to perform. We do a nice workout or a nice webinar on workout. A workout might be appropriate in that situation if you'll go in the SOP 5057-2 and just do a Control F and type in workout. You can get all the details on how to do that.
Very good. And Lance, you mentioned this earlier, the debt discharge for PPP is not taxable. Yes.
They asked the question last week. I said, yes, I'm pretty sure it's not taxable. But when I got back to my desk, I looked up and it is not taxable.
But Jackie throws a wrinkle in this, and I haven't heard this, but she says, it's not taxable, but the expenses that the funds were used for are not deductible. Have you heard that, Lance?
Well, y'all just keep going.
We'll research that a little bit more, Jackie.
Well,
heard of that, yeah.
I think it's an excellent point that Jackie brings up. If you're given money via a grant in the PPP loan to cover certain expenses, I understand that not being taxable when it's forgiven, but the question is, can you deduct those payroll expenses? Can you deduct that rent expense as an expense on your next tax return? And I'm not 100% certain on that, Bob, so I'd have to take a look.
Yeah, we'll get back to you.
Bob, we need a fourth member, CPA.
Well, we're taking volunteers. Very good. Barbara says the EIDL program did not end, only the economic injury grant portion ended.
The grant portion.
This is a very complicated question. Wendy, we've punted twice. I'm going to punt one more time. send an email to Lance and I, and we'll answer this specifically. I think this is too much in the weeds to try to grapple it. Lance, tell us what's going on Wednesday.
We're going to do a webinar on the Main Street Lending Program, and the objective is to give you enough information to kind of understand what Main Street loan products are out there and whether or not it's a fit for your financial institution. And we're not going to be able to give you detailed information on how to process these yet, but we're going to give you enough information to help you understand, does your institution want to participate in Main Street?
And I know you're also going to spend some time on big picture issues on what your strategy should be and what your credit box should look like on this, right, Lance?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Very good. Well, thank you all for joining us. Great turnout, and I appreciate it. And Lance and I and Katie love doing this, and we have more guests coming up for the week. So thank you for joining us today for Coleman Report Live, and for supporting America's Main Street, one entrepreneur at a time.
Have a good day.
Thank you.